Hi, welcome back to our channel. As we did a bunch of those kind of videos in the past, I thought it would be a great idea to refresh that knowledge a bit. And we're going to make a little short series explaining the most popular types of TRCs, especially those that we are mostly handling in our company. Today we're going to start with, at the same time, one of most popular, if not the most popular, and as well one of generally simpler types of residency permits in Poland. What I'm talking about is student TRC. With student TRC, let's say we'll focus on full-time university students. Of course, to the student TRC group in some way at least. The part-time studies qualify, the post-secondary school qualifies, language courses also qualify, as well as, technically speaking, the professional training, it qualifies to that as well, but pretty much no one gets those, and we'll focus just on the student TRC for full-time university students. Alright, let's begin with the necessary documents, as this is the most important thing. There are two types of documents in the residence permit process. There are the documents you need to get your process going, and there are those that you need to get the positive decision. So, starting from the formal requirements, let's say that you mail your application by post, you didn't submit much, but you get a letter in which they call you to fix formal defects. And on this time, you need to have those documents. Which documents are those? It's passport copy of all pages where you have stamps and visas, anything like that, as well as your main data page. Obviously, you have sent that one already to the immigration office. However, yes, you need to also bring your passport and show the original passport that this is actually you. And they have to verify if all the pages are included. Additionally, you will need photos of your face. Those photos, the typical standard size of photos for documents in Poland, it's 35 to 45 millimeters. You can get those done pretty much in any photo point that you can find, sometimes even in the immigration office, or at least next to it. And those photos need to be taken not longer than 6 months before you submit them. That's very important. Well, I personally did that with my ID, my Polish ID. I had this problem that I brought pictures that were a bit too old. That was fairly shortly after I turned 18 years old, and I brought my pictures, and those were the same that I had in my ID. So I was sent away and needed to come back with new ones. Yeah, it will be the same with your TRC. So you most of the time cannot use pictures that you used for other documents or just had done very long in the past. The amount of pictures, it varies. The most standard would be 4. However, in Katowice, it's 3, for example. So about that, you just need to verify with your immigration office. However, there will be never more than 4, meaning if you take 4, you're safe. Additionally, to start your process, you also need to cover the government fee. Application fee for most TRCs, in fact, but student one as well, is 340 zł. If you're acting through a proxy, then you also need to cover 17 zł per every proxy that is in your case. So if you choose 2 of your colleagues to be your proxies, then it's 34. You can add that to your application fee. Okay, so if we have this done, this list, very standard, you need them to pretty much any application. So, besides of that, what do you need to actually get your student TRC? Because that's why you're applying for it. You will need to visit your, most of the time, dean's office to get student confirmation letter. It's in a specific format. There are often given 2 types of student confirmation letters. You can actually see them over here. They are visible over here. You will need just this one. This one that you can see now on the screen, this is the type of student confirmation letter that you actually need. The other type, you can use it, for example, to show your employer that you have student status and they don't need to cover ZUS for you if you're working somewhere. If you have passed your first semester, that's important. If you didn't pass, that doesn't apply to you. However, if you pass throughout your process, then you definitely will need to submit that on top of your documents to your ongoing case. What I mean is your grades. Grades transcript, grades sheet, however you want to call this, in Polish karta ocen. Those are your grades throughout your entire university curriculum. If it's just after first semester, it will be pretty short. Obviously, if you're further in your studies, then it will be longer. But yes, if you already passed a bit of your studies, then you need to attach that to pretty much prove that you are making educational progress. Because maybe you don't know that, maybe you do. If you don't make educational progress, meaning you fail your school, that will be a very big problem for your student TRC. What you also need to submit is proof of accommodation. That proof, simply said, rental agreement, statement from the dorm, that says how much you're paying for your accommodation, until when will you be there. If it expires throughout your process, you need to submit a new one. That's simple. Next document that you need, insurance. This is an often confusing matter, because people would ask, can you use the insurance you got it for your visa? And for the most part, you can. However, the same as with your rental agreement, which I forgot to mention, but keep it in mind, your insurance needs to be in Polish. With the insurance prices and its validity, because most of you will not be applying for your residence card as soon as you come to Poland and have pretty much a year-long insurance, you would apply when you have a few months left on your insurance. And these insurance policies, they can be quite long in matters how many pages of plain text is there. If your insurance is in English and it's, let's say, 7 pages, there is no point in translating that. It will be cheaper for you to just buy a new Polish insurance. Seriously, that makes no sense to translate it. However, if you have just 1 page in English of insurance that covers and fits to all the criteria, 30,000 euros, the appropriate coverage, then you can translate it and use it for your TRC as well. It will not be a problem, but make sure that it fits to those criteria. I mean, you got your visa with it, so yeah, if you have the student visa, it will be okay. Just make sure that maybe it's cheaper to buy the full-on year-long insurance private policy than going for all these troubles and translating it just to have it lose validity in a few months and you still need to update the new insurance. That makes no sense. Alternatively, as a student, you can have a very cheap agreement with National Healthcare Fund in Poland, with NFZ. That's how it's called. It will cost you roughly 55 zł every month. What you have to do to get that, you will need to visit your local NFZ office. For example, in Warsaw, that would be on Chałubińskiego 8. You need to check where is your local NFZ, depending on the province that you live in. So, you have to go to NFZ, sign the agreement. You can find this agreement over there, fill out everything. Those people that work there are also generally rather helpful with that. Afterwards, you have to submit the registration documents to ZUS. It will be also listed on your contract, exact next steps that you will need to take. And every month, you will need to send ZUS declaration and cover your fee. After that, you can take a confirmation from ZUS that you have the insurance and need to submit that to your TRC as well. The last document that we're going to mention over here will be bank statement. Why last? Because the most controversial and the most confusing. How much money you actually need to put on your bank statement? It's not that when you ask someone they will give you different numbers. They might, but that's their fault. Generally, you can pretty easily count how much you need to get. You can see this over here. Just put in the blank spaces, put the appropriate amounts that apply to you. So how much you're paying for your school and how much you're paying for your rent. This is for the first year student. For the further year, if it's your second TRC as a student, then you count the amount of months until your graduation since today and add 3 months on top of that. Instead of 15. This is the thing about student TRC. The first one that you will get will be for 15 months. Does it make much sense? Not really, but that's just how it works. So for your first student TRC, in most situations, let's not overcomplicate that, the validity time of your TRC will be 15 months. It can be that that you pass your year, you still don't have your TRC, and then you will get it until the end of your studies. Yes, it is possible, but in the regular timing, how you should do it and how most people do it, it will be for 15 months. I hope now the requirements for student TRC in Poland are understandable to you. However, if you already know that you need help with the entire process or just need a little clarification, there is a link in the description of this video using which you can schedule a consultation with us. If you found this video interesting and want to see more contents regarding obtaining residency in Poland, leave a like under this video and subscribe to our channel. I will see you next time.